Before this one starts, quick thank you to Lenovo and NVIDIA for sponsoring this video. I'll tell you more about them in a second.
What a headshot! What a head!
Hey, hold on a second. He's actually got a good connection with that. Find that man for me immediately. Breaking news here in Paraguay. A fan has signed for his boyhood club after a perfect volley from the stands. All right, mate, now listen. It's time for your debut. I want you to stay calm. You're a wing-back today, okay? So you'll be doing a lot of running, but oh no, I can't do that, boss. I've got chronic asthma, polio, and pneumonia. I can't walk. Yeah, maybe we should have done the medical before signing it. Yo guys, it is your boy Niran here, and you are watching FTW. This, of course, the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. But before we get into things, I want to say a massive thank you to the guys over at Lenovo and at NVIDIA for sponsoring today's video. Now, the people at Lenovo and NVIDIA were kind enough to send this lovely piece of kit, which is the Lenovo Legion 5i, and it is gear faster than a Dharma Traore in a vat of baby oil.
We cannot replace him.
Now, it features Legion's AI Engine Plus. Now, I'll break down what that is. Basically, that's a dedicated AI chip in the laptop for real-time system monitoring, auto-optimization, and adaptive settings. Basically, it can decide what in-game settings you need without you having to do it yourself. Gaming should be easy, it should be relaxed, so let Lenovo AI Engine Plus do all the hard work for you. Now, let's say, for example, you want to play a little bit of Fortnite on a weekend. You're living your best life because it's going to make sure that you get high frame rates with NVIDIA's DLSS Super Resolution. Then NVIDIA Reflex reduces the amount of latency by almost a half. And overall, you'll be able to boost your performance by up to 3 times whilst keeping a good frame rate using the AI feature within NVIDIA's DLSS. Thanks to Lenovo Legion and NVIDIA for sponsoring today's video and sending out that laptop. And you can check out even more Lenovo Legion gaming laptops that are using NVIDIA RTX 40 GPUs by heading to the description below. And even better, you'll get yourself a sensational discount too, using discount code Quadrant for 10% off your Legion products. But what's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, over in the US, and there is the sad news that the oldest woman in the nation has sadly passed away, and tributes have been flying in. Yeah, I mean, look, listen, it's a tough time for me. I was a childminder back in the day, so it's actually crazy. Witnessing that much is, man, 115 years of age. She's seen Joseph Stalin and HS Tiki Toki in the same lifetime. A poor woman. Honestly, I respect her immensely. She's seen Vincent Kompany at Bayern Munich and called it a day.
That'll fucking do me. Come on, let's go.
Speaking of which, the Champions League is where we start, as Barcelona managed to silence some of the woes gone by, beating the German giants Bayern Munich 4-1 in the Champions League group stages. 4 years of trauma and PTSD somewhat cured, especially when the cameraman pans to Thomas Müller staring in depression down on the bench.
Au revoir, le Champions League.
He'd been giving it the big one on social media beforehand. Apparently people had been asking for a picture of his journey to Barcelona. The journey back, probably not as happy. And look, I give Barcelona a lot of stick, alright, because of their financial problems and stuff. But honestly, they're really fun to watch, man, I can't lie. High-risk football from them, especially in defense. Their offside trap is something that Ange Postecoglou would be proud of. God knows he's not proud of his own team. And being conducted by Paul Subasi and Inigo Martinez. Poor Inigo was struggling to get his prehistoric mind to focus on their set-piece routines. The one goal for Bayern was disallowed here due to an offside. And honestly, if VAR exposed me for having this kind of posture, I'm suing the whole organisation. Robert Lewandowski was stretching before kick-off, preparing to celebrate against his former side. But it was Rafinha doing the Lord's work with a hat-trick in this game. Him being at Leeds a few years ago is a crime against humanity. Now, in the build-up to the game, we've been talking about how Barcelona fans had shown up 11 shirts, aka his shirt number, that had Nico Williams on him. This man is fueled by spite. That is the Leeds coming out of him. I've got to say, though, Barca's prize money after the game, taking into account the debt they're repaying, not quite the profit they were expecting. Manuel Neuer, by the way, listen, brother, you've had a sensational career. You've been one of the best goalkeepers ever, but put your feet up and retire, bro. Let this man go to the Maldives. The gloves have left him. 9. A word that not only Bayern fans were saying anytime the ball travelled within a 1-mile radius of Neuer, but also the amount of goals they put past Dinamo Zagreb despite being behind the Croatian relegation side in the table. The only company Vincent's gonna have soon will be down at the job centre workforce if they crash out of the Champions League group stages. It's been a bad week for Germany in the Champions League as Dortmund fell victim to Real Madrid's European curse, going ahead only for Carlo Ancelotti to raise an eyebrow. Now, emotions were high at kickoff as Jude Bellingham and Jamie Bino Gittins caught each other's eye for the first time since Jude left Dortmund. But to call this a bottle would be an insult to Buxton. Dortmund were up 2-0 at half-time, only to go more defensive and ship 5 in the second 45.
Call an ambulance! But not for me!
Useless stuff, honestly. Trying to defend against Real is like trying to defend against Christian Horner's XXX photo folder. Let's be honest here. Dortmund are just Spurs, but with better Yelp reviews. Why are we still trusting these lot to provide any sort of result at all? Nuri Sahin was trying to tactico his way to a win. Meanwhile, Real were doing up friendship and good times in the dressing room at half-time. Who am I kidding? Nuri Sahin's tactics after the break were shocking.
And what I would like to see is Lacazette drop down and then he links up to a 4-pronged triangle.
Speaking of shocking, that's what Real's attacking force was in the first half, before a fuck it we ball trajectory in the second. Fellow Bundesliga side Wolfsburg have also been on the negative end of a Real Madrid comeback. They reminded Dortmund of that over on Twitter. But the star performer here, Vinicius. An unbelievable performance to score a hat-trick, including a beautiful solo goal, once Emre Can had realised it was Emre Can't. Guys, it's Vini Sr. now. I don't know who he's supposed to be answering to. Karim Benzema left a comment on Insta saying that he was deserving of the Ballon D'Or.
Ballon d'Or! Ballon d'Or! Ballon d'Or!
Meanwhile, Rafinha and Vini are ready to go Brazilian butt lift for Brazilian butt lift in El Clasico. Brazilian football's back, lads. On the topic of Brazilians, and a shout out to Rodrigo, who picked up an injury in the build-up to the third goal, but still played a vital part despite the pain for Lucas Vazquez's goal. Meanwhile, for Kylian Mbappe, and he was just excited being involved in his first Real remontada.
First time.
And as for Endrick, not involved, but did provide a new trim. Yeah, I can't lie, this one was inspired by Gervinho. Gervinho's grandfather, who played for ASEC Mimosas in 1947. Liverpool squeezed to a 1-0 win in Germany as well versus RB Leipzig. Lois Openda could have had a goal in this one if he'd ever been taught about the offside rule in secondary school.
What's your performance so far?
But in truth, the win was deserved here after a Darwin Núñez penalty was not given. The VAR room was heavily distracted as he went down under the challenge. But Darwin did manage to nab himself a goal on the goal line. Honestly though, given it's Darwin, I would have been less surprised if he'd managed to miss here. Mo Salah was having to pretend that he was happy after having his goals stolen away from him. This one was the Klopp Klassiker after Jurgen took up a role at Red Bull. Meanwhile, for Paul Quevin Kelleher, he felt bad having to KO his own great uncle who made his career when he was manager at Liverpool. As for the new Liverpool manager, and Arne Slot's record in the Champions League, and generally speaking, is very, very good, though with a difficult month of football to come. On the topic of Liverpool, though, and a big result in the league as well to stay top, this time against Chelsea. No croquet this week. How devastatingly disappointing. David James was the topic of conversation before the game kicked off. One fan had the opportunity to score at Anfield, a child who was about to have his dreams come true, only for David James to perform a double save from the penalty spot. Yeah, you can hold that, brother.
Fucking off that, you...
David has used this kid as a DJ deck, bro. It's a violation, but speaking of Year 6 students, and Cole Palmer linked up with Central C this week.
SOS, somebody rescue me.
He arrived into the Chelsea dressing room before kickoff with a very different vibe indeed. Meanwhile, Enzo Fernandez was showing off trying to get a verse on the next Central C tune.
How would a man still hate him? I'm more in a different country.
Now going into this one, apparently Enzo Maresca had watched 38 Liverpool games as homework. He'll be disappointed realising that Arne Slot's only been here for 2 months and nowhere near all of those 38 games. Bro was watching Martyn Skirtle for research. What's the point? And that didn't help as the Reds were victorious here. Mo Salah scoring a pen that had been given away by Levi Colwill, something that the English centre-back clearly didn't agree on. Colwill was left bemused realising that a foul is given away when you clamp somebody's shins and don't get the ball.
Nah, I never knew that.
Reece James took a break from being a professional hospital patient to play football here and arrived with a new trim, one inspired by a heart one here. Yeah, nah, it's a violation. You didn't have to do him like that. His hamstring scan will be an absolute mess after an hour and a half of exercise. Speaking of injuries, then Diogo Jota had to go off in this one after receiving a Batista bomb by Tosin Adarabioyo. He was going home to play FC 25. He could have played on. Slap an injury card on that one, lad. Officiating in this one was poor, just like the Leipzig game, to be honest. It left Arne Slot Scott and Darwin Núñez absolutely fuming, and question marks being raised over the official VAR decision-making at Arsenal, and they suffered a blow to their start of the season again. Another loss, this time away at Bournemouth. Arsenal here enjoying a trip to the seaside in the same way a man with no arms and legs enjoys it. And the reason for the performance? Clearly, Mikel distracted outside one of the stands at the Vitality. Now, the big issue here was another red card. That's 3 in the first 8 games of the season. This time it was William Saliba dismissed for a last man challenge. They had criminal training at the start of the season to, to try and keep them alert. It's worked because now they are the criminals. Mikel wanted them to stop themselves being the victims of theft. They've been stealing joy from Arsenal fans all season, because William Saliba's highlights in this one were absolutely shocking. Now, there was talk of why Howard Webb was shown on TV making a phone call at the moment at which this VAR decision was made. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you lads, whilst I understand they're not gonna show a clear fix on television, are they? In reality, he was very distracted. Yeah, so obviously this is a big decision. This could really change the course of the evening. So I'm gonna go with a large popcorn chicken. Probably. It's really funny. Arsenal fans just simply cannot accept defeat. Not all of them. I actually like Arsenal. I've been accused of being anti-Arsenal in the past in FTW. To be honest with you, I think they're just a team that are quite easy to take the piss out of. It's like us, it's like United, and it's like Chelsea. We all, as soon as we go through a bad patch of form, I think we all get blasted for it. But the reaction on social media from Arsenal fans is always ridiculous. He's the last man. It is a red card. The Tosin foul is what was being compared to, but A, there's a recovering player, and B, the trajectory of the ball is away from goal. And as against my team, okay, I could easily say that should have been a red as well. The conspiracy theories are wildly out of control for the Gunners. Yeah, look, here at the Arsenal Conspiracists, we believe in greater powers. Like, what does the FA stand for? The Football Association. Or does it? No, it literally, legally. But it could stand for fuck Arsenal. Do you know what I'm saying? That could explain a little bit of the... Yeah, I joined Arsenal Conspiracists Against Balling back in 2004. Well, that's what the government wants you to think. My conspiracy is that I think we're 6 years in the past right now. How could anyone benefit from that as a conspiracy at all? And there's our leader, Matt Letizia. Doesn't even have anything to do with Arsenal. He just wanted an excuse to say stuff. Or does he? Wait, what's your tone? Who's telling you to say that then? What, the government? Listen here, James, or should I say James actually might end society? Fucking hell, lads. And what happened from that point onwards was Mikel Netanyahu tacticos. 4 centre-backs and 3 DMs on the pitch at the same time. It is absolutely vile behaviour. Ricardo Calafiori's highlights, by the way, not too impressive. At least Arsenal did get a result in the Champions League against Shakhtar Donetsk, although not very convincing and due to an own goal. Mikhailo Mudryk was watching on in the crowd here, viewing the club that if things had gone differently, he really should be playing for. That's right, Shakhtar Donetsk. Now, Tottenham faced off against West Ham, and a complete capitulation saw Spurs run riot in the second half versus the Hammers. The whole club fell apart in the second half. It's to honestly relocate out of London. You're letting everybody down. Even Son scored in this one. The admin's child is even getting in on the act. Mohamed Kudus, by the way, quite literally lost his mind in this one, slapping everybody about left, right, and centre. His celebration predicts where he's going to be for the next 3 football matches. Meanwhile, West Ham will be prepping for El Sacico versus Manchester United in the league. There's only one man to get back for the job.
Again, backwards. Miser.
For Tottenham, though, when Brennan Johnson has reactivated his Instagram. Well, that run of goal scoring was fun while it lasted. He's going to be a different footballer now that he receives message requests on his phone. And there was drama at Manchester City versus Wolves as well. Last minute drama, in fact, as John Stones scored a last minute winner through VAR controversy.
Wagwan Generals.
Wolves managed to rescue defeat from the jaws of, well, a draw. And I think the goal should have been given in the end. There was talk about Bernardo Silva, interfering with play, but I think it was fine personally. John was fuming on Insta after getting booed by Wolves fans all over the place leaving the stadium. Meanwhile, Jose Sarr was getting comfortable with his national team teammate, Bernardo Silva.
What are you doing, my friend?
In the Champions League, Erling Haaland was doing his best Zlatan Ibrahimovic impression. No, not by crying at a goodbye ceremony. His CPU is incapable of displaying emotion. Instead, with a karate kick back heel. Is there anything this kid can't do? It's actually unfair. Aston Villa also impressed in the Champions League, beating Bologna of Serie A, and John Duran scored again in this one. He might be the best player in the world, you know.
What, I'm being serious?
We should have known that John Duran would be a problem as soon as he remixed his first name. JHON is ridiculous behaviour. His record now is a goal every 57 minutes. The guy is in top form, and so are Villa, top of the Champions League group stages after that win. Imagine saying that 4 years ago and not thinking it was a typo for the championship. Now, elsewhere in European action and for AC Milan, youngster 16-year-old Francesco Camara made his debut and got his first goal, only for it to be disallowed by VAR. The scenes were unbelievable as well. I genuinely think the VAR should like take vibes and a storyline into account. I want a script writer on the VAR board to decide if it can be made into a movie. A yellow card as well for taking his shirt off is just harsh. The poor kid's had his dreams crushed. Christian Pulisic was disgusted at the decision.
This is a bunch of BS.
Though did at least manage to get himself a goal from a 0.0 XG, scoring directly from a corner. French side Lille beat Real Madrid in the last game week of the Champions League, and now they've beaten Atletico Madrid as well. They're 2-0 up against La Liga. Spain's lost to the French word for little. Mbappe is the king of Madrid, and I'm not talking about Kylian. They're back in the Prem, and Crystal Palace lost again, this time to Nottingham Forest thanks to a Chris Wood winner. This is looking bad for the Eagles, I can't lie. The board, they're on their way to bring back Roy Hodgson already. Jean-Philippe Mateta, untuck your shirt, bro. It's over. The purple patch is done. And of course, after leaving Palace in the summer to go to Bayern Munich, Michael Elise was asked on his thoughts about his former club. His response, truly poetic.
I think it would probably be a bit different, but I don't know.
Meanwhile, there was a basement battle between Southampton and Leicester, where a Jordan Ayew winner won it for the Foxes. Southampton had used a picture of Aaron Ramsdale celebrating on Twitter, only for Leicester to quote the exact caption with Jamie Vardy, who then took time to laugh directly at Saints fans in the stands. Yeah, the guy's ridiculous. It's a shithousery award, Jamie. Now, the next story is an unpredictable one. Tranmere could be the subject of new ownership. That new ownership is ASAP Rocky. Yeah, I don't know how this has happened either. Hey, listen, Rihanna, babe, yo, so have you ever heard of the Papa John's Trophy? I hope he doesn't plan to go and watch any games, by the way, that Tranmere Rovers are involved in, because he'll be left disappointed watching Route 1 back and forth football for 45 minutes.
But that was shit.
The man's truly bought a club in a hopeless place. At Brentford, and Brian Mburmo revealed that he actually didn't know who Brentford were when the now Premier League side came in for him. Neither did we, Driller, honestly. For back in the day. They scouted him when he still had hair, by the way, bruv. When did they sign him? 2009. At Manchester United, and Anthony is reportedly going to be available on loan during January. Red Devils fans will be fuming with Ineos's board, realising that it's only a loan and not a permanent deal.
Come and find me. I'm in the car park now. You are an enabler.
And apparently Joshua Zirkzee could be leaving too, despite only joining in the summer. The guy's been here for 9.5 weeks, mate. About 9.5 as a position. Now in Spain, a former Real Madrid player has had a tattoo of his child drawn or tattooed onto him, only to realise that he's not even the father. Yeah, Vinicius Tobias, who, to be honest with you, I don't even remember this geezer playing for Real Madrid. But either way, it's a pretty disastrous day in the household for him, especially when the Jeremy Kyle DNA test came in. Obviously, basically, I kind of just want to know what the results are. Sit down, shut the fuck up, you slag. You're not the dad. Get a grip. Bro has a random child on his arm. That's actually so peak. Imagine being a tattoo artist, realizing that you've got to give him a refund now. Yeah, there you go. All done, mate. All sorted. Oh, honestly, thank you so much. I've been wanting this one for a while. Doesn't really look like you, does he? What do you mean? Baby. It's not got your eyes, your nose, general face area. Meanwhile, at Barcelona, and Gavi made his return to the first team squad after 11 months out injured, and his first action was to absolutely clamp somebody against Sevilla. Yeah, welcome back, man. This is him.
This is what he does!
At Elche now, and we've got a supporter who's arrived at the game in disguise and then done heinous things on camera. Meanwhile, down in the lower leagues, and at Sabadell versus Baleares, we've got absolute chaos after the 88th minute. A game here with 4 goals from the 88th onwards. I mean, look, listen, the fans got their money's worth. If you left early to avoid the traffic, you've been done dirty. In Italy, and Lazio's president went viral a few months ago actually, because he fell asleep in an important board or general like Serie A meeting. He has confirmed though that he swears he's not falling asleep, and he is actually listening. He's just saving energy. Yeah, all right, cool, man. I did the same in chemistry. This brother does not care when there's important life-defining information about the league on the line. They're deciding the entire fate of the club, by the way, and bro's hungover. At Roma, and one fan has had a bout of amnesia, forgetting the last 39 years, I guess, of his life, not just of Roma's history, and forgetting that Francesco Totti, the club legend, one club man, forgetting his existence. To be fair, it does also mean he's forgotten about the existence of Federico Fazio, so silver linings, I guess. One barber in the Naples area decided to prank his customers by using a cape to stop hair that had a Juventus shirt on it. The reactions were priceless. Meanwhile, after getting absolutely flamed by the club's fans, the Cagliari Flamingo has finally seen some good days, celebrating with the Cagliari players after a victory this week at RB Leipzig, and there was some absolutely criminal work from Benjamin Šeško. Now look, listen, he's a top striker, okay? He's a traditional number 9, he wants goals. But how are you not squaring it to Xavi Simons in this situation? This is an act of terror. Meanwhile, over at Hamburg now, Yeah, you might not want to do that salute, brother. Not there, fam. I know you don't mean it, but... Meanwhile, in France, and Gianluigi Donnarumma had the nice and wholesome idea to give his gloves away after PSG's victory against Strasbourg. Let's be honest, the fans are throwing it back. They don't want that, Gianluigi, I'm sorry. Meanwhile, a 3 Lions call-up might be required for Andy Carroll, who scored again for Bordeaux, making it 5 goals in 3 since he joined the recently reformed side. Now there is time for your goals of the week. We are back with some more bangers, and we start off with a very high-profile one as we head over to Turkey, where Victor Osimhen has brought out the acrobatics for Galatasaray. He should be making a mockery, really, of that division. He is now, and over in Iceland, Emil Atlason is doing the same, picking up the ball on the halfway line and launching it from distance over the goalkeeper. A ridiculous finish there. And finally, a similar sort of thing in the Netherlands, as Ajax faced off against Heracles Almelo. This game was absolutely ridiculous, and Heracles were leading at one point, thanks to this first-time strike from the halfway line looping over Ajax's goalkeeper. First-time halfway strike is mental. Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty.
İlk bölümünde gerçekleşecek bu ısınma.
What the fucking hell's happening?
And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Now in Brazil, and it could be troublesome times for Dimitri Payet. The former Barclaysman player the streets won't forget baller is playing at Vasco da Gama at the moment, but is at risk of having his contract cancelled already due to, quote, cringeworthy performances, apparently. The only cringy thing here is he looks like a Samoan rugby player instead of a footballer, fam. Oh, I say, have you seen that Dimitri Payet? Lionel Messi had an instant impact over in MLS, coming off the bench for Inter Miami, producing a crucial pre-assist, a ridiculous ball just 9 seconds after coming onto the pitch. And afterwards, he'd grab himself a hat-trick, meaning back-to-back hat-tricks in his last 2 games after the one for Argentina on international duty. New England Revolution didn't even want to tweet his name, as if he's Voldemort, bro. Meanwhile, back in Brazil and at Corinthians, we've got one fan who's genuinely produced a piece of cinema, selfie filming himself as Memphis Depay strikes a free kick right into the top corner. Now, last week, I told you the story of Kostas Manolas, the former Roma centre-back who'd returned to his hometown. He'd returned back to Greece to play for an amateur side where his career started. He was involved in his first game this week, and it saw his side win 12-1. He scored 5 goals in 35 minutes and then was subbed off because the game was too easy. Yeah, look, if you ever thought that you could play at like a professional level, like, think again. This is what we're up against. In Brazil, again, I don't know why so much foolishness is going on over there, and Diego Costa made an instant impact as well, coming off the bench and getting himself a yellow card immediately in traditional Diego Costa sense for body slamming a defender. And elsewhere in Brazil, Davison is someone who's got a big reputation for being a big character. Whilst playing for Atletico Mineiro, he was about to take a quick free kick, only to bamboozle the defender instead. In Australia, and just 37 minutes into their new season, and we've got foolishness happening as a coach is absolutely clattered down on the touchline. No messing about down under, you know, straight to business. Meanwhile, in Mongolia, we're going to get straight to business. The team in 10th in the league, they're shit. Their top flight seems to always have a team that finishes the season on basically no points with a crazy goal difference, and Tuve Azaganud here are no exception. They've got a minus 109 goal difference after conceding 111 goals in just 9 games. I think it's an uphill battle if they want to survive this season, I'm not gonna lie. In Portugal, we've got a kid who brought a sign with him to a game asking for the referee's shirt or to meet the ref. Now this is utter woke nonsense. What are we doing? If my son asked to meet a referee after a game, adoption. No excuses for that sort of behavior. And there's no excuse for not playing football over at Gondomar elsewhere in Portugal, where this outrageous weather. I mean, guys, come on. It's like a 5G pitch as well. I've never even seen a 5G pitch waterlogged, but it's waterlogged, guys. Go home. There's not even any point training in these sorts of conditions. In the Netherlands now, and I told you a story recently about HITC7s, or Alfie, who made a video on FC Eindhoven being the most boring team in the world because they've not been promoted or relegated for decades and decades now. Well, they have taken on this mantle and they are owning it at this point, bringing banners to games in the Eerste Divisie, the second division that they find themselves in, about being proud to be boring. Honestly, lads, fair play. My ADHD won't allow those sorts of shenanigans. Gotta have some sort of game that means something eventually, but if you guys are happy with it, then you guys be happy. In the Women's Champions League, and Galatasaray were 4-0 down, they managed to grab themselves a goal late on and celebrated like this. This is absolutely absolutely shameless. Cupping your ears to the crowd when you're 4-1 down is mad. But in fairness, the context is this is the first goal they've ever scored in the Women's Champions League because they only formed recently. So we'll let them off slightly. In Mexico, we got a goalkeeper daring a penalty taker to go to one side and him getting humbled pretty quickly.
God, I love it. I fucking love it.
I didn't know Caparita Balaga made the move over to Central America. Meanwhile, in Japan now, and we've got even more humbling. We've got a player here who, to be fair, has done a great job. He thinks he scored, he's turned around and started celebrating, only to realise it got cleared off the line. And bro's doing up Marcus Rashford, spelling bare letters for names and stuff. Closer to home, and one Bristol City fan missed the coach journey to Middlesbrough for their championship fixture and put his phone number onto Twitter in the hope of getting a lift to the game. And for those that aren't aware, that was a mistake. This man got text after text from Middlesbrough fans being completely unhelpful, telling him that he should have woken up a little bit earlier in the morning, and generally, I'm pretty sure he didn't make it to the game. Another championship fixture was Watford taking on Luton. Now, Watford had to travel to Kenilworth Road, a ground famous for having an away end that is somebody's conservatory, and they were taking in the sights before kickoff, alright, looking at the wonders of Luton. They weren't being sarcastic, filming bins and the general area and how Luton looks like a shithole. The first rule of social media football-wise is, if you're gonna chat shit, don't then lose the game. Watford lost the game. And so Luton's response was perfect. It's a shithousery award for the conservatory residents. They then faced off against Sunderland, where their match ended up in a scrap, and Sunderland's Luke O'Neill was not taking things seriously at all, jumping into the middle of the scrap down at Kidderminster, and they tweeted that their man Maziar Kuyar had come inside his man and went for goal. Maziar was left a little bit confused by the wording here in this one. Meanwhile, down at Bromley in League 2, and I genuinely want hygiene police going to their ground immediately. What is this abomination? This is supposed to be a hot dog, you know. It looks like it's been taken out of a sofa from 1987. Up in Scotland, and for Hibs women's side, they were attempting to take a penalty, only for the ball to keep blowing off the penalty spot because of high winds. This is the hurricane that we get in England, by the way. Crazy weather systems. But this next clip, this is sensitive stuff, okay? And if you're of a nervous disposition, I would suggest that you look away now, because the challenge you're about to see is one of the most disgraceful I've ever seen in my 27 years of watching football.
Some fighting away, free kick given.
Oh, the game's got it.
Yeah, nah, she got tackled by the ball and the ref gave a foul. How as the ref do you see that information happen in front of you? She's controlled the ball and it's hurt her foot and you give a foul. Who's getting yellow carded here in this situation? The ball boy. In Denmark, though, we've got a feel-good story in the form of a cup upset where Brabant IF, who play in the 4th tier of Danish football, have managed to knock out the 2012 Danish champions Nordsjælland on penalties. Like, this is like, even looking at the ground that they're playing in, by the way, they have no business beating a team that was playing in the Champions League 10 years ago. Absolutely crazy stuff over there. In Paraguay, we've got a unique fan wandering through the stands. Meanwhile, if you want a guide on how to time waste as a goalkeeper, then look absolutely no further than here. Yeah, just whip out the Olympic level gymnastics, guys. It's fine. If I see a goalkeeper front flipping in front of me, I'm slide tackling him. I know I can't slide tackle the goalkeeper, but I have to do it. In Turkey, though, we've got the oldest trick in the book being performed on a goalkeeper. A poor goalie who doesn't know what's about to happen to him. He's got a striker waiting behind, and as soon as he puts the ball down, the striker rounds him and puts it in the back of the net. But how are his defenders not helping him here? He was practically whispering into his ear. He was that close to the goalie. In Malawi, and we've got a referee being chased by players out of the stadium because they weren't happy with a decision that he made during the 90 minutes. In Wales and at TNS, they won in the Welsh Cup. A pretty, decent standard victory. A massive 16-0 scoreline. This was 9-0 at half-time. Surely you just forfeit. Like, we're wasting each other's time here. Let's just go pack it up. Then we've got one of the more awkward managerial handshakes, I can't lie, at the end of this game. He thinks he's smooth and then continues to argue with him after. And over in the A-League again, a big shout out to Auckland FC, the A-League's newest side, who won their first ever game in the league. A 100% win record. Now there is time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now. This is a segment of the show where I bring to you the best of Sunday League and amateur football. And if there's one thing that's important when it comes to Sunday League, it's set pieces, alright? It's a chance for bravery and physicality to win out over anything else. Launch a ball into the box, the goalkeeper might spill it. You might have your 6'11" centre-back with a Deliveroo subscription that can get his head on the end of it. And that's why it's absolutely imperative, especially after a long build-up, that this corner taker gets the ball delivered into the area in the right fashion. Or he could produce the worst corner that's ever been taken in history. That could also work. On to the weird stuff though now. A few months ago, I told you the story of former Japanese international Kazuki Honda, who is someone he's kind of like a bit of a cult hero through footballing history, but at the end of his career, he's winding things down, and he ended up playing a one-off appearance for a team in Bhutan. That is a side in Asia. He was playing for Paro FC in a vital game that they needed to win in order to qualify for a continental competition. Well, this week, he returned back to Paro FC for another one-game contract where he scored twice, including a last-gasp equalizer to help them win silverware. An unreal story. Staying in Asia, and we've got two results from Asian youth qualifying that are bemusing. India's under-17s faced off against Brunei's under-17s, and unsurprisingly, it was a pretty one-way affair with a 13-0 victory for India. I mean, who do Brunei even have that's under the age of 17 in the whole country? If only there was someone who could help them with that. Meanwhile, in the same competition, and Tajikistan's under-17s had a bit more of a tougher affair against Guam, which is a tiny nation in the Pacific. Their scoreline, 33-0. Guys, come on. Put some effort in or something. If I conceded 33 goals in an hour and a half, it's actually difficult, you know. I actually kind of have to praise them a little bit. And finally, we've got something that might actually boil the blood more than any story that's ever been in FTW. We're heading over to Sweden, and more specifically, the Swedish 4th Division women's football. I know, there's some crazy places we go in this series. And for this story, we're heading to a team called Angel Holmes, or Angel Holmes. I don't know how. Now, they are battling for a league title against a side called fucking lung by head. Your lungs in your head, you've gone wrong. Anyway, that's not the point. They're fighting for the title going into the final day of the season, and unfortunately, they end up missing out. They end up missing out by a point as well, so it's a very close run affair, but they're not the normal team here at Angel Holmes. Yeah, no, they managed to finish second in the league, having not lost a single game and having not conceded a single goal. Yeah, that's right. These lot scored 78 goals and conceded none, not a single goal across 18 games, and still didn't win the league. I think they drew 3 games 0-0. So they ended up finishing a point behind the leaders who only lost 1 game. I mean, in fairness, the eventual champions had a goal difference that was almost 30 better than the team in second. But either way, invincible and not a single goal conceded to finish second is crazy, crazy work. That, though, is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also become a member. It really helps out in terms of supporting the channel, and you can get your name on the screen like the guys here. And if you want to follow me on social media, you can do. It's at @theofficialfng on Insta, Twitter, and on TikTok. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.